The following is a public access production. It is not produced, sponsored, or endorsed by this station, the local government, or the cable providers. The program producer is solely responsible for the content of this program.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Keeping It Real. Today, I have a distinguished guest, Mr. Paul Carew, from the Director of the Veterans Department in the town of Natick. Welcome.
Thank you, Deb. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Paul. And I'm so glad that Paul came. Today, we have a lot of interesting topics, but of course, we're going to start off with prayer. And I have a scripture that I'm going to read first because these times are turbulent. And we want to keep our mind on God, on Jesus. So the scripture is Isaiah 26:3. You will keep the mind that is dependent on you in perfect peace, for it is trusting in you. And it goes on to say, trust in the Lord forever, because the Lord himself is the everlasting rock, an everlasting rock. He has humbled those who live in lofty places, in inaccessible city. He brings it down to the ground. He throws it to the dust. Feet trample it, the feet of the humble, the steps of the poor. God, people vindicated. So Paul, I just want to pray for the town, pray for myself, pray for the veterans, and just for this country. Father God, I thank you for bringing us together, me and Paul. We good friends. He's helped me since I came and I moved into Natick. He helped me with Natick Black Lives Matter and just popping beans and everything, God, and just with the smart recovery groups. Thank you for him being here in the town, helping and serving the veteran population and just the town in general. And God bless him from the crown of his head to the soles of his feet. And I thank you for Bishop Kelly, my advisor, who's also been helpful to me, Reverend Ian, and all the people in Natick, Donna McKenzie. And we just ask that you would bless this time in Jesus' mighty name. Give us a great time of fellowship. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, Deb, I love the work that you do with the community, with the Black Lives Matter, and you're a great public spokesperson for this group, this mission, and I support you 100%. In your mission, and I support you as a friend.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Now I've made that transition over to the Cedar Gardens, and I love it over there. Paul. Can I call you Paul or Mr. Carew? Which would you prefer?
Paul.
I love it over there, Paul, because I moved here in 2014 with my daughter, and she was 16 years old, wow. And she went to Natick High, and we moved into my mother said, you're going to get a brand new apartment, but the Natick, those places over there are like $1,700 a month, and I just, plus the utilities and everything. So I moved with the help of advocates, behavioral health. I have a mobile clinician, and I work with the Advocates, Inc., and they helped me. They paid for the move, actually. And now I'm happy. I'm over there. I have extra money in my pocket because Natick housing is 30% of the income. And you was always there, just, I come, I sit, I talk, I join the smart recovery groups. You'd help me. You buy a couple of books, you donate to Natick Black Lives Matter. You were just like a staple. And I used to always just come and I felt comfortable talking to you. Like I felt like you understood me, like, Yep. Like you work with a lot of people that have, situations similar to mine and stuff.
I do. I work with a population that has many with behavioral health, mental health issues, and also many with substance abuse issues, and one of the things, my strong points is, they say I can talk and I can relate to anybody. You can sit across from me, mean, stubborn, pig-headed, and before I'm done with you, you're talking to me. Smooth conversation.
Yeah.
And that's one of my strong points, you know. And that's what makes me effective in the field I work in, the population I work with. Is I've taught courses over the years, Sheriff's Department, Department of Corrections. I've taught communication courses over the years. Oh. And most of what I've studied, from the sociology to the communications to the cognitive behavioral therapy, most of what I studied I use now in real life.
You use what?
Communications, I use assessment skills. I was trained as assessment specialist with the Sheriff's Department and case management, also with the Sheriff's Department. So all my training I put to good use.
Yeah. So I came to, so I want to say, who is Paul Carew? If I was asking, who are you? What is your? I know you're the director of the Veterans Department. So, what is the duties as a director of the veterans?
As the director of Veteran Services for the town of Natick, and I also kind of very part-time Dover, Massachusetts. But as director of the Veteran Services for the community, I'm governed by Mass General Law, Chapter 115, and that's a benefit program put on by the state. And a quick history on that program. That program started post-Civil War. So the soldiers from the Civil War were coming back. This is Massachusetts only, coming back to Massachusetts. And many of them had lost their farms, lost their livelihood, no jobs. So Massachusetts passed this Chapter 115 law, which would give the returning soldiers, the veterans, money, stipends, medical help, housing help when they came home from the war. And that's where it started. And that benefit continues to today.
That started the Veterans Administration? That's how it started?
The Veteran Services for the Commonwealth, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The thing with veterans is, real quick history is, you have two entities that I'm involved with. I'm involved with the national level as a national service representative. I have my own direct link with the VA. I call it my secret black laptop. I can go in and look at my veterans, my clients, directly into the VA system. Oh. And the other one is administering Chapter 115 funding to the veterans, and that's, we have probably 30 recipients in Natick, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a lot.
How many?
About 30.
Of the that receive benefits?
Chapter 115. No, we have a lot more that receive my VA benefits.
Yeah, okay.
And claims and so forth.
But Chapter 13 is about 30.
Yeah, it's Chapter 115, yeah. And I've had a really good couple of weeks with the VA side of it, the benefits there. And I had one veteran, he's 73 years old, and I've been working on his benefits for 9 years. And 9 years later, it was a complicated case. I kept telling John, be patient, be patient. And finally, he gets that magic phone call and that magic letter in the mail.
Wow.
John, you've been granted benefits going back to retroactive to 2015.
Wow.
In the amount of 100% service-connected disability.
Jeez, that was a blessing, huh?
He got a check in the mail for $368,000.
Wow.
His daughter lives in Orange, Mass. He's already bought a house.
Oh, that's
Him and
good.
his wife are both ready to retire. Oh, retired. So they're moving up to Orange. He bought the house. He paid for the house, $305,000.
And you was encouraging him to all the way to be patient.
And he's a 40-plus year. Him and his wife are 40-plus years friends with me and my family.
That's great.
I'm an uncle to all the grandchildren.
You're wonderful.
You know, I love it.
Do you do other things like suicide prevention?
Yeah, I do.
What is suicide prevention? In fact, is that a class or is that a philosophy?
I'll give you a quick rundown on my suicide prevention work. I started suicide prevention. I call it suicide education, awareness, and prevention. I started doing that probably 20 years ago in the sheriff's department. I was the county suicide education, awareness, prevention officer for the county of Middlesex. So I would go into Billerica House of Correction every Friday afternoon when they had a group of new men coming into the system. And what I would do is give them that education, awareness, prevention talk. And by doing that, I've developed this sense where I can look at the crowd and say there's 20 new men coming into the system. And I'd pick one out here, pick one out there, and engage them because I can see that look in their eyes. Oh my God, Mommy, I'm not home anymore. I'm in jail now. What am I going to do? Look in their eyes.
Oh my God.
So I would sing them out at the end of the talk, and you stay behind. I want to sit down and talk to you.
Really?
So they were at risk.
Yeah. How young were these guys they were young?
19, 18.
And so what would you say to them? I mean, basically, would you
I would talk to
give them
them and I tell them,
information about suicide prevention?
This is not a pleasant environment. You have people in here to reach out to, like myself. My job in the system was a case manager. I says, you can reach out at any time to me as the head of the case management team. Just say, I'd like to see Mr. Carew, and you can even tell him why, but you don't have to tell him why. You know, if you start feeling, any of the symptoms of suicidal ideations, tell somebody. First thing you should tell is your cellmate. I feel like I'm going to commit suicide. Then you tell the correction officer, I want to see Mr. Carew. And he could see any one of 12 case managers for I'm the specialist in the area.
Oh, wow.
So I'd say, ask for me.
And you know how to pick people. You can tell by the look on their faces.
I can tell by the distant look in their eyes. You know, the look on their faces, the almost trembling look on their faces while they're sitting there. First time away from home. You know, first time in jail. You know, and I don't know if you've ever been in a jail before. The most disturbing sound in a jail is when those doors clang behind you.
No, I've never been. I don't ever want to go.
You don't want to, you know.
But I've been institutionalized because of my mental illness.
Yeah.
When I had a breakdown, in 1983.
You did, yeah.
Yep, and you probably could tell that I needed that little extra when I come see you. You never turned me away.
I would never turn.
You never turned me away. You always had time for me, and I appreciate that. And even now, look at you, you're here again. You know, when I asked if anybody could come on the show, yeah, I'll come.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Sport, whatever you do. And I was telling you a story, Deb, earlier. I was on the phone yesterday with one of my cognitive behavioral therapy, one of my Veterans Treatment Court, I'll talk about that a little bit, Veterans Treatment Court graduates. 33-year-old young man from Malden, grew up in the ghettos, you know. He graduated from Veterans Treatment Course, 2-year program, and I kind of took him under my wing.
That's good.
And he would call me Uncle Paulie. So he has a
That's nice.
he has a wife, ex-wife. He has a young daughter, 3 or 4 years old, and his life was in ruins when he went to court. And he didn't fix anything with his wife, but he made amends with his daughter. We did the program on Zoom. He would bring his daughter to our meetings. She was so cute. And so Dean made it through. But shortly after graduating from this program, Dino started seeing the demons again. You know, the demons that brought him there in the first place. And they got worse. They got to the point where he was getting assaultive. He was hallucinating, and which ended up in a sanction to Bridgewater State Hospital. So as soon as he got to Bridgewater State Hospital, he had 2 names in his wallet on a piece of paper with phone numbers. One was myself, and one was a man named Dr. Harold Salk. And you know Dr. Salk. So the resident psychiatrist called me, and I talked to her for a good while. She told me what was going on. He is facing some serious criminal charges. I'll stand by his side all the way. Wow. But some criminal charges, assault charges. So this was a month ago. So he was facing a hearing to be committed, a committal hearing to Bridgewater State Hospital. You have to be committed to spend any length of time at the state hospital. And he's there now 30 days later, and he hasn't completed the committal. He's still awaiting commitment to Bridgewater State Hospital.
So where is he? At home waiting?
No, he's at Bridgewater State Hospital waiting.
But he has to,
Yeah.
like in a holding
Yeah,
cell?
it's like a newbie section. But he's still, Bridgewater is Bridgewater.
Yeah,
That's
he's
the best
still
way
in.
to describe it.
Okay.
Right? No matter where you are in Bridgewater, whether you're awaiting commitment, you're mixed up with the other population.
Is that for mental health patients, or is that for anybody who commits a crime?
Mental health.
Or anybody that commits a crime can go to Bridgewater? Or do you have to have a mental health issue?
You have to have a diagnosis of a mental health issue to go to Bridgewater.
I see.
Yeah, that's where the committals come in. And usually involves violent behaviors. And Dean shows both of that, mental health issues, which he had in control when he left our program, you know, and our program being the Veterans Treatment Court program, where there's me and Doc, there's a VA clinician, there's a court clinician, there's lawyers, probation, clerk. It's a good team, and the judge. And he did very well.
Was he in the SMART recovery?
Oh, yeah.
On Saturdays?
Yeah.
He was on there?
Yeah.
I might have seen him, because I jump on sometimes.
Young black man from Malden, yeah.
So.
Always wants to bring his daughter almost every other week.
So when I had my mental health issue, Paulie, that was a long time ago.
Yep.
That was back in 1983. I had went to Paris. I was a young lady. I was 21, and I said, "Hey, I want to see the rest of the world." And my parents, they said, "Go ahead." And I went off to Paris, and when I came back, I had a breakdown. because of the stress, things that I encountered, came back. I tried to graduate. I had a whole workload. I had paperwork prepared. I don't want to get into everything, but that's what happened to me.
Yeah, so you were going to college at the time and took a little break in your studies to go international and seeing the culture of Paris and France and the people over there. And
I had a falling out with the lady that I was living with. She was a psychiatrist, but we had a falling out.
oh, okay.
She was supposed to be protecting me, but we didn't get along because she didn't understand me. And I was so far away. I had no contacts. I had nobody to call. I was so far away from home. I had no friends. I didn't know who to go to. There was nobody in the profession that I could call, like a counselor. So I was all alone in Paris. And
You say this lady was a psychiatrist?
she was a psychiatrist, but I'm telling you, Polly,
Yeah.
some of the things that she was in, it was not very good.
Yeah.
I got mixed up with the wrong crowd. And I always pray. I always pray, and I love going to church.
Yep.
I didn't go to church. I didn't do none of that. And I remember calling my mother, and I was so far away. I had no one to turn to. But anyway, when I came back, I was put on psychiatric medication,
Yep.
right? Because that's what they do. And,
what they
and
do.
they threw me in the arbor. You know about the arbor? And fortunately, and I don't know why all this is coming out on my TV, on the show, but maybe it could help somebody else, right?
Because I'm here.
Yeah. So when I got there, I was in the general population, just like you say. It's like nobody knows what's wrong with you. They throw you in there. But I had family that lived down the street. It was in Jamaica Plain, and they said, "Is that Mildred Haley's niece?" Because my aunt was the director of the Bromley Heath, and they said yes. So they got me out of. They got me out. I mean, I was in the general with people that were homicidal, that were really gone. So, and I'm not saying that to say anything negative about people with mental illness, because mental illness is a real thing. It's a really real thing, and it can be managed. So when I got taken out of the general population, they put me upstairs in a room with another person. It was quiet. I took my medicine. I went to my group therapies, and I got out. But I was 21, almost 22 years old. I wasn't taking nobody's medication. I don't care. I'm not taking pills. So I stopped them. Guess what happened? Ended right back up there, having to get treated all over again.
Yep.
And to this day, I take my medicine. I take it faithfully.
You have to. This is there's a reason for medication, and I know that, and in my dealings with many people with mental health, behavioral health issues, is I know, sometimes the talk therapy works, but I'm gonna go on a limb and say the majority of the time that it isn't the only answer. It isn't the only answer. And I have post-traumatic stress disorder, severe, from my military service, and I'm on medication, and
You need it. You need it, right?
and I'll be on it for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Same
PTSD
here.
is a lifetime disease.
Now, are you doing some program about that?
Yeah.
You sent me some papers about that, right?
I did. I sent.
And I haven't had a chance to read them, but
No,
But
this week's.
this week is-
you'll hear this week's cognitive behavioral therapy smart recovery meeting. We'll be talking about a paper I wrote for graduate work called "The Hidden Wounds of War." I wrote that paper.
now what's your email? Because we're going to put your email on the screen. So
Yep.
if anybody wants to join, this is a Saturday group.
Yep,
at-
Saturday. I do 2 groups on Saturdays. Myself and my co-facilitator is a gentleman, Dr. Harold Sock.
Oh, that's
from Framingham,
Doc.
Massachusetts.
That's what we call Doc, right?
Yeah, Doc
Okay.
Sock.
Yeah.
SOCK from Framingham. He's, I'm going to say, I pulled him out of retirement to work with me on this program. And me and him,
I love Doc. He's a nice guy.
me and him are a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
We work off of each other. You know?
Yeah, he's a good guy. Now, how can people get into the smart recovery? Do they have to call you?
Yeah, what they will do is they will,
email or
they will
something?
reach out to myself, and I'm the starting point on this. They reach out to me, and I will get their email address.
Now, how can they reach out to you?
Okay, so you can reach out to me 2 ways. You can reach out to me through my email, which is PCAREW@natickma.org. Or you can call me 508-647-6545.
All right.
Direct line.
That's good. So that's the group I'm in at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
And
yep.
you put me in that group because they said, okay, I'm going to get, you cleared me for that.
I did. And what we do is, what me and Doc will do, say you respond to me and say, I'd like to be part of that group. The first thing we do is me and Doc set up an introduction meeting. I won't say it's an assessment, but it kind of is an assessment. Mm-hmm. Me and my Doc have our own ways to do an assessment. Mm-hmm. And we'll sit down 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour on Zoom. I'll send out the Zoom link. I'm the Zoom master. I'll send out a Zoom invite to you. Mm-hmm. And then we'll set up a time for anywhere from 15 minutes to a half an hour. And we get to know you, see if you'd be a good choice for our groups. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's a good fit for these groups. Mm-hmm. The groups are, Deb's been part of my groups.
Yeah, is that I'm sorry, go ahead.
And not everybody's a perfect fit for these groups, but I think I've been doing groups for a long time, from the Department of Corrections out of college to the Sheriff's Department to now the community. And been doing these for so long. Mm-hmm. Knowing what Doc is very, very effective. You get the sociology side of it, which is me, mm-hmm. and you get the psychology side of it, which is Dr. Sock.
He's a psychologist?
Yeah, he's a psychologist.
Trained psychologist, yes?
Yep.
Yeah.
He was in practice for, mm-hmm. He says 40 years. Mm-hmm. You know, private practices and so forth.
Well, I just want to apologize publicly to you if I've said anything in the past. You know, running the movement, Native for Black Lives Matter, was stressful for me, you know, and I tried to do the best I could, and I was trying to do everything by myself, you know, like I'm the black person, so I got to do this. But I didn't have the right attitude. So I apologize to you or anybody in the group.
I don't think it's about attitude. I think your attitude was good because mm-hmm. you're out to help people, and your attitude's fine. A lot of times, like with smart recovery and cognitive behavioral therapy, we have toolboxes at our disposal mm-hmm. with different tools that we can use at our disposal. Mm-hmm. And you're realizing that now
yes.
by people becoming part of our group, that we have toolboxes. Right? We have toolboxes, mm-hmm. and I'm part of your toolbox.
I see. I get it.
I'm part of your toolbox. Doc's part of your toolbox.
That's
and other
great.
people that you know are
mm-hmm.
part of your toolbox.
Yeah.
All right, so that's you realize that now. In the beginning, you were, get away from me, man.
Yeah, I didn't.
I don't know you well enough to talk to you, you know what I mean?
It was guarded, you know?
You were very guarded.
Yeah, and now I see that you are part of my toolbox. I don't look at you. A lot of people, like, I just recently had an incident where I had to change my phone number, and I guess I didn't want everybody to have it. I guess I was a little, I don't know. Annoyed. And so I didn't want I just wanted to be kind of like incognito for a little while.
Left alone.
And then something happened, and I had to reach out to people. And I said, no man's an island. But let me just say this. I'm a strong believer in the Lord, as you are.
I am too.
And I wanted to live in Newton because my daughter was at the Newton High School till she was a wee thing. She was kindergarten all the way 10th grade.
Wow.
My mother got an apartment in Newton because she was a senior, elderly. And they wouldn't give me a place in Newton. So I says, okay. And then since I know a lot of people, I knew Seti Warren, remember the mayor, the black mayor of Newton? Seti Warren, I knew him. And so I started knocking on doors, and finally everybody knew who I was, so they let me into Natick. And I would always talk to Bishop, why can't I get into Newton? I wasn't supposed to be in Newton. I was supposed to be right here.
Yeah.
And when I came here, they have that mental health building. Remember that mental health building?
Yep.
It was a hospital.
Yeah.
And I got hooked up with advocates. I know DMH, I know Peter, I know you. And there's a lot of mental health help here. I wouldn't have got that. And I like the air, the atmosphere. I like the flowing rivers and the swans, but I got hooked up I went to the partial program there for a while. I just got out of this program called Walden Behavioral Health. It's an eating, It's eating disorder. I did 7 weeks.
Yep.
Eating disorder clinic. I just got out of that. It was all day from 8:30 to 2:30. I did full weeks, 3 weeks, and then I did full weeks. I did 3 weeks virtual from 2:30, 8 to 2:30, I don't know, 3 days a week. And I have Innovive services. They mental health people. They come, they give me my medicine, the nurses in the morning, nurses at night. And I have a clubhouse. That clubhouse over there in Marlboro.
Oh, yes, yeah.
It's called Employment Options. I found out about that because I asked a lot of questions when I was at Parsha. Somebody had a tag, it said mental health person. I says, do you have mental health services here? They said, yeah. And I got into the Parsha over up there before they closed it down. Now it's the real one. Now it's just a mental hospital.
In Marlboro?
No, here in Leonard Moore.
Yeah.
But before it was, they got rid of the emergency hospital. And they put it over there in Framingham.
They had three different programs up at the old Leonard Morris Hospital.
Yeah.
3 floors.
They got rid of those?
Yeah, and actually the director of all 3 of them oversaw them is a psych nurse practitioner named Ed Glennon, right? And he was in charge of psychiatrists, psychologists, everybody. Ed Glennon, he's a 50-something-year-old, like I say, psychiatric nurse practitioner. We became so close. I'd take people up there to him, he'd accept them. He'd send veterans down to me. I used to say, I'll walk them up the hill to you, Ed, and he'll walk them down the hill to me. And we became such good friends that now, since that program closed, and he moved down the Cape and opened another program, since then, he's my personal therapist.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, personal friend and personal therapist.
I need a therapist. I don't have a therapist.
Ed Glennon is, and he's not, what I like about...
They're looking for one for me, though.
Yeah, Ed's not, he's not a VA, not a veterans therapist, which I like. I got enough of that in my life.
Yeah.
So I wasn't looking for that. But Ed's a guy I can call anytime I want and talk to him. A guy I can say, hey, Ed, let's do a Zoom call tomorrow. I'll send him a Zoom invite, and we do the Zoom.
Really?
Yeah, within 24 hours.
Oh, wow. That's good. That's good.
We built kind of a professional relationship. I was doing similar, not to his extent, but similar work in my field. No, I'm not a nurse practitioner, but
okay.
I was doing similar work.
You give people Zoom, and you talk. I mean, yeah, similar therapy with other people.
Yeah, I'm doing therapy, the same as him, and we often, trade new insights into the field. I read a book and say, Ed, you got to read this book, man. And he'll do the same thing with me, and we send books to each other.
You love books. I love books too.
I love to read.
Remember we did that book called One Person, One Vote? We did that.
Yeah.
The second, and your all-time favorite was, what's that one you liked so much? Well, you liked it, but you said it was very, very good about how the new Jim Crow.
Oh, the new Jim Crow.
Yes, you said that was very enlightening.
That's the new Jim Crow was very enlightening. It's a history of the movement from back pre-Civil War days to the present. And, most people have heard of the Jim Crow movement, but most people don't know anything about it. And I did know more than a lot of people, but I don't know everything. When I read that book, it brought a lot of insight to me on the movement, and
it changed you. You said
it did, and I read it. Deb knows if I really like a book and get something out of a book, there's going to be numerous readings.
Yeah, and you share it with others.
And did I not buy
You bought a ton of them.
a ton of them?
Now, you're looking into, just take a break for a minute, you're looking into a very personal time with me and Mr. Paul Carew. We're very good friends, and this is a really personal conversation. But we're glad to share it with you because we know other people that have maybe veterans. My email is deborahmitchell25@gmail.com. And like I said, Paul, I've had mental health. You know what I learned about in Paris? One thing I learned, this is very personal too. But there's a lot of discrimination against blacks. We all know that, right? But it's global. Anti-blackness is global. When I went to Paris, I'm not from the hood. I lived in the suburbs. I like to say I'm from the hood, but I was born with pretty much a silver spoon. I had a good mother, dad, Christmases, I ice skated, I did everything. And when I went to Paris, I said, I experienced a little prejudice out there.
In Paris.
The first thing the lady said to me, the psychiatrist, "What part of Africa are you from?" she says. I wasn't offended because she asked me that, but I just was like, perspective-wise, you don't have that perspective. And then there was some other anti-black things that there was some Caucasian guys that were more wealthy that, they wanted you to walk behind them, don't walk close to me. I mean, these are the things I experienced in Paris, and I'm saying I have never shared much of that. I'm doing a memoir, and you'll probably get it after I do my book about this children's book about the turkey.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do another children's book about my mother's shawl and Native Black Lives Matter. I'm going to use your picture, if you don't mind. I'm going to do a picture book about that. So, and then what other prejudice that I went to Tufts University now. They got rid of affirmative action. And I know you were saying, well, we need a level playing field. But in my perspective, affirmative action was something that helped blacks because we oftentimes didn't have some of the same opportunities. So I'm mentioning this affirmative action thing, and I forget why. But I forget why. But anyway, I
understand in the context. We've had that discussion in the past, and I grew up during the both the busing, the affirmative action days, both of these instances. I grew up during these times, and affirmative action. I'll give you an example, Deb. right out of college, I got a job with the Department of Corrections. I couldn't get a job with any police departments because they had to hire minorities. So I got a job with the state prison system.
Did you feel
Best thing that ever
discriminated against because you couldn't get a job at the police department? Did you feel like you were being discriminated against because you couldn't?
Oh, of course. Of
So
course,
it's like a reverse discrimination. That's how you kind of felt. Yeah, anyway.
When I further thought about it, it wasn't. They weren't.
Yeah.
When I thought it through, at first you get mad. It's like any race or culture goes for a job, they don't get the job, they blame it on. You didn't hire me because I'm black. You didn't hire me because I'm, and so forth. Many times versus, I didn't hire Paul Carew because he doesn't get the skill set that Deborah Mitchell has. You know what I'm saying? Many times it's that versus what we perceive it to be, and I think I know it was necessary because when I went to work in the state prison system, 900 to 1,000 inmates in one jail. Right?
Really?
When I went to work in that system, you know how many people of color were working with me in that system?
How many? 2. And how many other white people were working with you?
Well, 300.
Wow. And how many black people were in there opposed to the white folks?
Majority.
New Jim Crow.
That's what I was getting to, yeah, the new Jim Crow. And the majority, and it's, and it hasn't got any better because I still do speaking engagements in our state prison system. I go and I talk about mental health, I talk about reentry, I talk about suicide. So I still do that in the prison system, and it's still the same old thing. It's, and if you want to read a good book, read that book.
What's the name of it? The New Jim Crow?
The New Jim Crow.
Now, let me ask you this, and then we're going to switch off to some current events where we could talk about current
Absolutely.
events. Again, we have a new administration, the Trump administration. And they were mentioning cutting veteran benefits or something? How can we stand up against, that's not a good thing. We don't need to cut the benefits, right? I mean, people need their benefits.
Absolutely. It's almost like there's a lot of benefits, not enough, but there's a lot of benefits afforded to the veteran population in this country. Many of my population spilled blood. Many of them came home with the hidden wounds of war. That was my graduate thesis. Post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injuries.
From the war.
And they go hand in hand. Not always from the war. You can suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injuries and not been involved in war. A small percentage, 10% or less, of the veteran population actually served in war. So the majority of my cases I deal with PTSD and traumatic brain injuries are non-combat related. But the combat ones are a challenge, to say the least. When you're dealing with somebody, sitting across from somebody, this is recent, and two veterans, 2 Marines, one was 6'4", from Texas. He brought his friend from Texas out. He was visiting him. They served together in Afghanistan. There was a battle going on, and these 2 Marines were snipers. When you're a sniper, you have a spotter who has a glass, and he directs the sniper on his accuracy of the shots. So this spotter was a 6'4", good old boy from Texas, right? Black gentleman, young, 20, 21, but he was 6'4", big guy for a Marine, and 240 pounds. And he's on this ridge overlooking the battle going on below, right? Big battle going on, and the sniper's trying to help this platoon out, the company out in battle. Fortunate that assigned to this company there was a medical doctor, and I'll tell you why. Fortunate it was because this big spotter, this big 240-pound Marine knelt down next to the sniper, and he knelt right on an IED, a mine, if you might, that the enemies, well, both the enemies and the Americans were planted all over the place. He kneeled right down on it. He lost his leg just below. But
Well, you got a lot of stories, don't you?
But he was sitting in my office with a big smile.
Wow.
Big Texan smile on his face.
When? Just recently?
Yeah.
Well, you know a lot of these veterans, don't you?
When the veteran first told me that story, he said, well, my friend will be coming out to Massachusetts to meet my family. When he does, I'm going to bring him in to see you.
Wow.
So I must have made a good impression with this young man.
You do. You have a nice personality.
Yeah.
So we're going to pivot now to the current events. Could you show them the book that I gave you, the one on the bottom? Just hold it up to the camera.
This one here?
No, the last one. And what's his name? Aaron will put the poster up.
Can you see this?
That's my new book, Cousin's Christmas.
That's Deborah's new book, perfect timing.
And I'm going to have a book signing at the Natick Library. They gave me a date. They gave me the children's room downstairs, and I'm going to sign these books for the public.
December 21st. At 1 p.m.?
At 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
So that's Cousin's Christmas.
That's great. 10 a.m. till?
Yeah, 10, and then I'm going to give a reading. I'm going to read it to the kids.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, it's going to be a reading too.
Oh, that's terrific.
And we're going to have arts and crafts. My friend Mary Ann, she's coming. She's made up a bunch of these little African little things that you could make a Christmas tree out of it, stuff it, write it on the bottom. And so that's going to be that.
Well, what I'm going to do, since Deb's given me so many books she wrote, next year, every year, I get 25 veterans to go to 21 classrooms in the first grade and kindergartens. Every elementary and school, we do that once a year. And we read
You're going to read
children's books to
right.
these kids. So now I have a new one to read next year. And we do this in November.
Oh, that's right.
Just before Christmas.
I'll
You know
come
I-
with you. And then I gave you another book. This one is called 5 Notable Inventors.
So I haven't seen this book yet,
Yeah.
but
There's 5 notable black inventors.
Black Inventors,
Yeah. And then this guy here, you ever read about this guy?
I have.
This is a children's book about him. That's for you too.
Yeah.
You're in that profession.
Well, I read about him because I'm a strong history buff.
Yeah, he was a good guy. Everybody respected him.
Everybody respected him.
He lived with the Indians at first. He learned all the trades from the war. And then he started becoming a sheriff.
A marshal.
Yeah, a marshal. So he went to get the bad guys. And he never lost a bad guy.
This man, who I have the highest respect for, this man reminds me so much of a television character.
Oh, which
And
one?
that's Chuck Norris,
Tell him about this book.
Texas Rangers.
Now, if you want to, you can get a bunch of those.
As Deb has said a couple of times, I love reading and I love sharing my readings.
Yeah.
So what I usually do, all right, I'll order at least a dozen, maybe 20 books, 20 copies of each book I read. And if I find the book worthy, usually I'll read the book first, then I'll buy the copies. and that means I am worthy of this book. And what I'll do is Deb's part of my book club, and I'll call Deb and say, hey, 1, 2 or 3, 6 of these books, for your book fair, but you got to read them first.
Yeah, we got to read them first. How to Stand Up to a Dictator by Maria Ressa.
If she's going to sell a book, she's going to read the book first.
Yeah, we'll read it first, and then if he likes it, she was a CEO, co-founder, and president of Rappler of the Philippines, top digital news site, and she won numerous awards, including the Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, wow.
She grew up in America and studied at Princeton University before working as a journalist in Asia for more than 37 years.
Wow.
She tried to put her in prison because she was always telling the government, don't be messing with people. Now this is, can you say peace? You say it in so many different languages.
Peace.
Yeah, and so all the kids from different countries say peace in their own language.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and this one is great.
This will be Deb's the children's expert, not me.
Yeah.
I'm the adult expert. But Deb's also an adult expert. But a book like this would be good. I have great nieces, 2 and 2 great nephews. This would be a good book. I wish I had gotten involved.
No, you could keep that. That's a review. He does the reviews. Paul does the reviews. I get the books. Paul does that would be a good book.
It would be because I believe if I was taught language skills at an earlier age, my life would have been different. The only language I was taught was Spanish in high school, Latin in the Catholic Church, and of course when I went in the Marine Corps, Vietnamese.
Oh, well.
My trip overseas.
Well, languages do open up the world. That's why I went to Paris. It did open up the world because I've never seen. I'm a girl from Boston, Mattapian. I didn't see Europe. I went to see Europe. I saw Africa. I went to. You saw that? My trip.
I'm envious.
I'm studying this Project 2025 because I got to know what they're going to do, and I got to study it. This is my personal Project 2025.
And Debbie was talking about getting into the climate of the world right now. I call it the climate. I do talks on the climate of the times. And what is the climate of the world right now? It's trouble.
Trouble.
It's trouble. That's the best word to use.
Yeah.
Turbulent. Trouble, turbulent. Any other 2 words?
Messy. It's just like everything is upside down.
Terrifying.
Yes, everything's upside down.
That's 3 words.
They say good is evil, and evil is good. Everything is like mixed up. Everything, there's a lot of lies, a lot of disinformation. But the Bible says, I'll keep thee in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. So I took up my Bible, and I've been reading my Bible. I've been listening to, I'm getting a prayer shawl.
Deb's been in my office, one corner of one of my desks. I have one of the most valuable books in my office, 3 leather-bound Bibles given to me by, 2 of them were given by me by one African pastor from Lowell, an African pastor, Mattapian, right? Laypersons like yourself.
Good. Oh, yeah.
And when I left the sheriff's department, they knew my spirituality. So these were the most treasured gifts I got from people who live in the sheriff's department.
Well, remember I used to send you those little messages in the mornings?
Yeah,
little scriptures?
She did, yeah.
I used to send them little scriptures.
Spiritual inscription of the day, correct.
Now, we're going to go right into current events because we only got 4 minutes, 18 seconds.
16.
So we're going to talk about Nikki Giovanni. She was an African-American poet, and she was an activist. I mean, I think she was one of the greatest women African-American poets there ever was.
Yep.
And her famous poem was called Ego Trippin'. And she loved Tupac Shakur. So anyway, she passed away at 81. She just died maybe last week or so. Nikki Giovanni.
Yep.
I'll get a book. She has poetry. She has love song poetries.
Oh, very nice.
Oh my God. And she has one. She was friends with Maya Angelou. You know who Maya Angelou is?
No.
I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings. Maya Angelou, the great poet, the African-American poet. Okay, so then Gloria Fox died. She was a councilwoman in Boston. And
Very hot.
yeah,
highly
and so
regarded, yeah.
you said somebody else passed away.
And there was a woman from Natick. She was her background was therapy. She was a therapist. She was young, only 65 years old, but cancer got her, and she belonged to a team that I'm involved with in Natick called the Freedom Team, which I'm going to have to sign Deb up for. Freedom Team is a great team. It's made up of 5 members of the Native clergy. It's about stopping issues before they start. You know, it starts with, much of our work's around the youth in the community. Say a youth in one of the schools is bullied, say he's racially targeted.
Oh, wow.
Our position is to go to this individual's family and try to soften the impact that this incident has on the individuals.
You do that too?
Yeah.
At the Freedom Team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sign me up for that. So I just want to ask you one question, because we have 1 minute and 50 seconds to welcome him. We're having a debate in the town about whether or not to ascribe to the welcoming policies. Debate. Some people don't want it.
I think
some people do want it.
Yeah, I think it's more than it's already completed its second meeting with the select board here in Natick, and they've formatted it pretty good for the people in Natick to read about and understand. And the bottom line is, do we as citizens, residents of Natick, want Natick to be a welcoming community? Hell yeah, of course I do. Right, David asked me this earlier. Of course I want Natick to be a welcoming community. I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Right?
Right. Because, you know.
I don't like some of this terminology they're using in dealing with the people coming into this country. I don't like the word migrant. I don't like the word illegals. I don't like those words, okay? I don't think they're necessary. I think they're derogatory towards the individuals. You know, the people.
Right. The people.
The people.
Maybe we all came from somewhere.
I have 4 grandparents. All came from across the sea. 4 grandparents. Were they welcome in this country? No. They were Irish.
Oh.
Irish need not apply was on the doors of many buildings, many factories. So it's all over again.
All over again.
Right?
We all came on different ships, but we're all in the same boat now.
I love it. Good ending. Perfect ending.
Thanks.
I like that.
That was good, huh?
That was very good.